Under the veil of dusk, a powerful businessman drags a disabled child to the heart of the woods. His cold eyes show no remorse as his hands cover that small, still-living body with earth. What he doesn't imagine, a lonely elderly man hears the faint moans coming from the freshly disturbed soil. When his wrinkled hands unearth the trembling child, something inexplicable connects their wounded souls. Fate has reserved for the arrogant man a lesson about justice that no one could have foreseen. So if this story moves you, come discover many others on the channel. Stories that will touch your heart and renew your hope. Subscribe now so you don't miss any transformative narratives. The October wind sliced through the ancient pines of Blackridge Forest, carrying the scent of damp earth and decay. Arthur Mercer, CEO of Mercer Enterprises and the wealthiest man in Oakwood County, guided his black Mercedes down the narrow dirt road that snaked between towering trees. His knuckles whitened around the steering wheel as he checked the rearview mirror. In the back seat, 7-year-old Lily clutched a worn ragdoll with one hand, her bright hazel eyes reflecting an intelligence that belied her physical limitations. Cerebral palsy had imprisoned her small body, rendering her legs useless and her voice silent, but her mind remained sharp, something Arthur deliberately ignored. "Almost there," Arthur muttered, more to himself than to the child watching him with unnerving intensity. He parked in a secluded clearing where sunlight barely penetrated the dense canopy. With calculated movements, he exited the vehicle and opened the rear door. Lily didn't struggle when her uncle lifted her from the car. She simply held her doll tighter, her eyes never leaving his face. Arthur had always found her gaze unsettling, as though she could see through the carefully constructed facade he presented to the world. "This is necessary," he said coldly as he carried her deeper into the woods. "You understand necessity, don't you? Even with your condition." His political campaign for governor was gaining momentum. The polls showed him leading by a narrow margin. A disabled niece who had witnessed too much was a liability he couldn't afford. Not now. Not when he was so close. Arthur found a natural depression in the ground, partially hidden by fallen branches and decaying leaves. With the same meticulous attention he gave to his business acquisitions, he began to prepare what would become Lily's living grave. The girl watched with eerie calmness as her uncle dug with his bare hands, widening the hollow. "You know too much," Arthur whispered, avoiding those penetrating eyes. "Those drawings of yours, if anyone understood what they meant." Lily's fingers moved subtly over her doll, creating patterns only she comprehended. This was her language, gestures, touches and intricate drawings that few bothered to decode. Arthur placed her gently in the shallow grave, arranging her limbs with disturbing care. Not from compassion, but calculation. If discovered, it needed to appear accidental. He scattered leaves over her small form, ensuring some air could still circulate. A slow death would be less suspicious than obvious violence. "The voters need someone strong," he explained, as if justifying his actions to a business associate rather than to the child he was burying alive. Someone unburdened by imperfections, but Lily didn't cry, she couldn't scream. Instead, her fingers began to tap rhythmically against the soil. A silent code, a language beyond words that rippled through the earth beneath her. Arthur stood, brushing dirt from his custom Italian suit. He didn't look back as he returned to his car. The engine roared to life, and soon the sound faded into the distance, leaving only the whisper of wind through the trees and the persistent tapping of Lily's fingers. The forest seemed to awaken to that unusual rhythm. Small creatures raised their heads in curiosity. Birds paused their songs, and somewhere deep within the woods, an old German shepherd with battle-scarred fur and cloudy eyes lifted his head. Max had once been a service dog, trained to assist people with disabilities, before being abandoned in the forest 3 years ago when his elderly owner died. He had survived through instinct and intelligence, living on the periphery of human society. Something in that rhythmic tapping stirred ancient training within him. The pattern spoke of distress, of human need. Max rose from his makeshift den, his arthritic joints protesting, and began to move through the underbrush with renewed purpose. Miles away in a hand-built cabin nestled among towering pines, Daniel Morgan stirred a pot of herbal tea. At 78, the former botanist and university professor had chosen isolation as refuge from unbearable pain. 20 years had passed since his daughter Jennifer vanished without a trace, and with her, his faith in humanity. Daniel knew every plant, trail, and sound in these woods. This forest had become both his sanctuary and his prison. But that afternoon, something disturbed his carefully constructed routine. A premonition, perhaps, or simply the atmospheric shift that precedes significant change. He stepped onto the porch, leaning heavily on his carved oak walking stick, and breathed deeply. The air felt different, charged with expectation and possibility. 2 decades of solitude had sharpened his senses to nature's subtle languages, and Daniel knew when something unusual was stirring. Then he heard it, distant barking, urgent and insistent, not the typical howl of coyotes or wild dogs that occasionally roamed the area. This had purpose, almost desperation. Against every instinct developed during years of self-imposed isolation, Daniel grabbed his collection bag and followed the sound. His steps, slow but determined, led him along familiar trails, but the barking guided him toward an area he rarely visited. With each step, uninvited memories surfaced. Jennifer had loved animals. She always claimed they perceived things humans missed. "Dad," she would say, her eyes bright with conviction, "animals understand the heart's language better than people do." Daniel pushed the memories away, focusing instead on the increasingly frantic barking. Something profound was happening. He could feel it in his bones, in the accelerated beating of his heart. Max's barks echoed through the trees with an intensity that silenced the birds. The old dog had found the source of the silent call, a small hand emerging from beneath a carpet of leaves, fingers still tapping their secret code against the earth. With the instinctive care of his training, Max began to dig, his experienced paws removing dirt and leaves with precision. He understood the smell of fear and distress, but what emanated from this child was different. It was determination, a will to live that transcended terror. Daniel arrived breathless, his aged heart protesting against the exertion. The scene before him froze him momentarily. A German shepherd, one he vaguely recognized from his infrequent trips to town, purposefully excavating what appeared to be a mound of forest debris. "What have you found?" Daniel murmured, approaching cautiously. Max glanced up briefly as if to say hurry before returning to his urgent task. Then Daniel saw it, strands of dark hair amongst the leaves. "Dear God," he gasped, dropping his walking stick and kneeling beside the dog. His hands, accustomed to the delicate work of handling rare plants, removed earth and leaves with surgical precision. Lily emerged like a broken doll from a forgotten toy chest. Her hazel eyes, lucid and intelligent, met Daniel's with an intensity that startled him. There were no tears, only a silent connection that transcended words. "You're safe now," Daniel whispered, his voice rough from disuse. "No one will hurt you again." He lifted her carefully, noting the braces on her legs and the death grip she maintained on her ragdoll. Max remained close, vigilant and protective as Daniel assessed her condition. She was dirty and scratched, but appeared otherwise unharmed. The journey back to the cabin progressed slowly. Daniel carried Lily in his arms while Max led the way, stopping occasionally to ensure they followed. The girl pointed to the dog and then to herself, creating a connection Daniel understood immediately. Max had saved her life. Daniel's cabin was modest but welcoming. Built by his own hands from forest timber, it blended with its surroundings as if it had grown organically from the earth. Inside, shelves lined with jars of dried herbs and medicinal roots dominated one wall. A small wood-burning stove provided heat, and a hand-carved oak table occupied the center of the main room. He placed Lily gently on his bed, a luxury he rarely used, preferring the hammock near the stove. Max positioned himself beside the bed, a furry sentinel unwilling to abandon his post. "I need to clean those scratches," Daniel explained, more to organize his thoughts than expecting a response. To his surprise, Lily nodded in understanding. While preparing warm water and gathering his homemade salves, Daniel observed the girl. She examined the cabin with evident curiosity, her fingers tracing patterns in the air as if drawing what she saw. "You can't speak, can you?" he asked gently while cleaning a scratch on her cheek. Lily shook her head, then pointed to her temple and made a circular motion, indicating her mind worked perfectly fine. Daniel smiled for the first time in years. "I can see that. Very intelligent." As he tended her wounds, Lily began more elaborate. Gestures. She pantomimed driving, then covered her face with her hands, clearly relating her story. Daniel pieced it together. Someone had driven her here and deliberately abandoned her. "Who did this to you?" he asked, anger beginning to simmer beneath his calm exterior. Lily hesitated, then interlaced her fingers in the universal sign for family. Family. Someone from her own family had tried to kill her. Daniel's indignation burned white-hot. As a father who had lost a daughter to unknown circumstances, the concept of deliberately harming a child was unfathomable. But there was something more in Lily's eyes, not just trauma, but knowledge. Secrets. After treating her wounds, Daniel prepared a simple vegetable soup from his garden harvest. Lily ate eagerly, her eyes never leaving his face, as if memorizing every detail of her rescuer. "I need to know your name," Daniel said after dinner. Lily pointed to a book on his shelf, a worn volume of botanical studies. Daniel flipped through until she tapped the page containing Lilium in the Latin classifications. "Lily," he interpreted. She nodded enthusiastically. "I'm Daniel," he offered in return. "Daniel Morgan. I've lived here a very long time." Lily acknowledged this, then did something unexpected. She took a piece of charcoal from beside the stove and began drawing on the wooden floor. These weren't childish scribbles, but complex symbols, almost a personal language. Daniel watched, fascinated, as she created what appeared to be a map showing the cabin, the forest, and beyond that, the town. In the town's center, she drew a large X and pointed to herself, then made emphatic gestures of negation. "You don't want to return there," Daniel translated. Lily nodded vigorously, then drew a figure with a malicious expression, holding what appeared to be money in one hand and a smaller figure in the other. "Someone powerful. Someone hurting you?" The question emerged haltingly. Lily confirmed, with a solemn nod, tears finally welling in her eyes. Daniel felt a complex mixture of emotions, rage, protectiveness, and something unexpected. Purpose. For the first time in 20 years, he had reason to care about something beyond his plants and self-imposed exile. "You can stay here," he promised, his voice firm with resolve. "No one will hurt you again." Even as he made this vow, Daniel knew it couldn't be so simple. A missing child would be searched for, especially one from a prominent family. And whoever had abandoned Lily might return to complete their unfinished business. Night descended on the forest, bringing with it gentle rain that drummed against the cabin's roof. Lily had fallen asleep in the bed, Max curled protectively beside her. Daniel remained awake, watching flames dance in the stove, while memories of Jennifer flooded his mind. She would be 39 now. The police had abandoned the investigation after 6 months, concluding she had likely run away. But Daniel knew his daughter would never leave without explanation. Something had happened to her, something he had failed to prevent. Now, observing Lily's peaceful sleep, Daniel sensed the universe offering a second chance. Not to replace Jennifer, nothing could, but to protect another vulnerable soul when it mattered most. "If this is redemption," Daniel whispered to the shadows, "give me strength to see it through." Max raised his head, as if comprehending the gravity of the moment. The dog had fulfilled his purpose by finding Lily, but Daniel sensed their journey was just beginning. Outside, rain intensified, erasing footprints and scents from earlier in the day. Nature, in its wisdom, seemed to be buying them time. Time for what? Daniel wondered. To uncover truth, to seek justice, or simply to form a connection that might heal old wounds in both of them? The answers would come with dawn. For now, there was only the crackling fire, the rhythm of rain, and the soft breathing of a child who had found sanctuary in the home of a broken-hearted hermit. Morning arrived with golden light filtering through rain-washed leaves. Daniel woke to the familiar aroma of brewing coffee, one civilization comfort he'd never abandoned. Lily still slept deeply, Max vigilant beside her, but something had changed during the night. Beside the bed, using the charcoal from the previous evening, Lily had drawn an elaborate series of symbols on the wooden wall. Daniel approached quietly, studying the patterns. These weren't random markings but appeared to be a sophisticated pictographic language. One symbol particularly caught his attention, what looked like documents emerging from a locked box. "What are you trying to tell me?" Daniel murmured, tracing the intricate drawing with his fingertip. Meanwhile, at the Mercer mansion on Oakwood Heights, Arthur buttoned his bespoke shirt with trembling fingers. His wife Eleanor watched from across their bedroom, her blue eyes cold as Arctic ice. "Where is Lily?" she demanded, her voice sharp enough to cut glass. Arthur adjusted his tie, avoiding her penetrating gaze. "At the special care facility we discussed. It's for the best." Liar. The accusation landed like a physical blow. Eleanor rose from her vanity, her silk robe flowing around her slender frame. "I called every facility within 200 miles. None have admitted Lily." Arthur's composure faltered momentarily. "Eleanor, you don't understand the complexity of the situation. With the campaign, she interrupted with bitter laughter. "Always the damned campaign. She's your sister's daughter, Arthur. Our responsibility." Eleanor crossed to her desk and removed a leather-bound sketchbook. "I found this in Lily's room. Do you know what's inside?" Arthur paled at the sight of pages filled with detailed drawings, precise depictions of his private office meetings, documents that should have been secured in his safe, faces of people involved in his financial schemes. "She couldn't possibly understand those things," he stammered. Her condition affects her body, not her mind," Eleanor cut in. "Lily sees everything, remembers everything, and she recorded it all." She approached her husband, eyes blazing. "What did you do to her, Arthur?" In the forest cabin, Lily finally woke. Her first instinct was to check if Daniel and Max remained nearby, a reflex born from fear of abandonment. Seeing Daniel preparing oatmeal at the stove, she relaxed visibly. "Good morning," Daniel greeted, noting her awakening. "Hungry, Lily?" Nodded, then pointed anxiously to her drawings on the wall. Daniel approached as she began gesturing frantically toward specific symbols. "Slowly," he requested. "Let's establish a simple code. 1 tap for yes, 2 for no. Can you work with that?" Lily tapped his arm once. "Good. These drawings, do they show who left you in the forest?" 1 tap. "Is it someone dangerous?" An emphatic tap. Daniel studied the drawings more carefully. There were patterns suggesting documents, money, and what appeared to be a building schematic. "You remember everything you see, don't you?" Daniel realized aloud. "That's why you're dangerous to someone. You know things they want kept hidden." Lily nodded solemnly, then drew a new figure, a woman with flowing hair and what appeared to be a broken heart. "Someone who cares about you, who might be looking for you." A hesitant tap. In town, Eleanor Mercer wasn't idle. She had arranged a meeting with Detective Thomas Reeves, a former FBI agent now working privately, known for his unwavering integrity. In his modest downtown office, she spread the contents of a folder across his desk. "I need to find my niece," she stated, her voice blending determination with barely contained panic. "And I need evidence of what my husband has been doing." Reeves examined Lily's drawings and the documentation Eleanor had collected. "The girl has an exceptional mind," he observed. "These aren't random drawings, they're records. Does she have eidetic memory?" "The doctors believe so," Eleanor confirmed. "Lily remembers everything she sees with perfect clarity and expresses it through art. It's her primary form of communication. And your husband understands this capability? He's always underestimated her. He sees only her disability, never her brilliance." Eleanor paused, fighting tears. "I fear he's done something terrible." Reeves nodded gravely. "I'll start by checking remote areas. If he wanted to eliminate a problem, he'd choose an isolated location. Men like your husband are methodical." there's something else. Eleanor passed him a photograph of a young Hispanic woman. This is Maria Vasquez. She worked as our housekeeper until she disappeared 3 years ago. Lily adored her. Maria was exceptionally skilled at understanding Lily's communication system. Disappeared? Arthur claimed she resigned without notice. But I found this in Lily's drawings from that time. Eleanor revealed a page showing Maria with tears streaming down her face and a rounded belly. You believe she was pregnant? With your husband's child? Eleanor nodded, her expression grim. And I believe Lily witnessed something connected to Maria's disappearance. Something that made her dangerous to Arthur. Reeves carefully gathered the materials. I'll find your niece, Mrs. Mercer, and I'll uncover whatever truth your husband is hiding. In the forest, Daniel had reached a decision. He couldn't keep Lily, hidden indefinitely, but neither could he risk returning her to whoever had tried to harm her. He needed more information. Lily, he said gently, I need to go to town for supplies. You'll be safe here with Max. But first, can you help me understand something? He spread an old map of the region on the table. Can you show me where you came from? Lily studied the map intently, then pointed to the affluent northeastern area of Oakwood County. Her finger traced the route to the forest, stopping at the approximate location where Daniel had found her. And the place you don't want to return to, is it the same? She circled the same affluent area, making vehement gestures of refusal. I'll be back before dark, Daniel promised. Max will protect you. After Daniel departed, Lily began an elaborate project. Using twigs, pebbles, and leaves, she constructed a 3-dimensional model on the cabin floor. Not just a geographical representation, but a visual narrative of interconnected events spanning years. In her young mind, Lily understood that the truth was finally emerging, and with it perhaps the justice she had long envisioned through her detailed drawings. The sun climbed higher, casting dappled shadows through the cabin windows as she worked, her small hands arranging each element with precise intention. The pieces were aligning, a complex puzzle of corruption, secrets, and crimes extending far beyond a child abandoned in the woods. The question remained: who would uncover the complete picture first? Those seeking to protect Lily, or those determined to silence her forever? Heavy rain began falling as Daniel reached the outskirts of Oakwood. The wet streets reflected storefront lights, creating a kaleidoscope of colors beneath his feet. He kept his head down beneath his worn raincoat hood, avoiding curious glances. 2 decades of isolation weren't easily discarded. His first stop was the pharmacy, where he needed basic medical supplies for Lily. While waiting, Daniel overheard fragmented conversations around him. Mercer's offering 50,000 reward. Poor disabled niece missing since yesterday. Police searching the whole county. Daniel's heart raced. The search had already begun in earnest. He paid quickly and departed, mind calculating possibilities. If Mercer was publicly searching for Lily, it suggested he needed her found alive, at least temporarily. At the general store, Daniel noticed workers hanging posters. Lily's face smiled from a professional photograph beneath bold text: missing. Child substantial reward, but the narrative felt wrong. The poster mentioned kidnapping and requested information about suspicious persons in the area. Complete fabrication, Daniel muttered, gathering essential groceries. Back at the cabin, Lily had transformed the interior into an elaborate information display. The 3-dimensional model on the floor had expanded, while charcoal timelines now adorned the walls, connecting events, people, and locations spanning years. Max watched attentively, occasionally making soft sounds as if understanding the significance of her work. When Lily indicated a specific drawing, a woman holding what appeared to be a newborn, Max approached and gently licked her hand. Suddenly the dog's ears perked up. Footsteps approached on the trail. Max growled low, positioning himself protectively between Lily and the door. The girl quickly covered her most revealing drawings with a blanket and hid behind the stove. The door opened slowly. Detective Reeves entered cautiously, rain dripping from his weatherproof jacket. His experienced eyes immediately registered signs of recent occupation. "Hello," he called softly. "I'm not here to hurt anyone." Max's growl deepened, hackles rising along his spine. Reeves remained in the doorway, making no move to advance further. "My name is Thomas Reeves," he continued. "I'm looking for Lily Mercer. Her aunt is worried about her." At the mention of Eleanor, Lily shifted slightly, causing a floorboard to creak. Reeves turned toward the sound but maintained his distance. "Lily, are you here? Your Aunt Eleanor sent me to find you. She's very concerned." After a moment's hesitation, Lily emerged from her hiding place. Her intelligent eyes studied Reeves with evident suspicion. "Hello, Lily," he said gently. "I'm not going to take you anywhere you don't want to go. I just need to know you're safe." Lily pointed to Max, then to the cabin around them, indicating she felt protected. "I see you have good guardians," Reeves acknowledged. "May I come in? The rain is getting heavier." Lily considered this, then tapped once on the wooden stove. "Yes." Reeves entered slowly, careful to make no sudden movements that might alarm Max. He noticed the elaborate displays around the room but focused on Lily. "Your aunt showed me your drawings," he explained, kneeling to reach her eye level. "She believes your uncle might have hurt you, is that true?" Lily tapped once, then revealed the drawings she'd hidden. Reeves examined them with growing alarm. They depicted not just Arthur's financial crimes, but something far more sinister, what appeared to be a burial in the woods, not far from the cabin. "Is this Maria Vasquez?" Reeves asked, pointing to the drawing of the pregnant woman. Lily tapped once, her eyes filling with tears. "And your uncle? He did something to her?" Another tap. Before Reeves could ask more questions, Max barked sharply. Moments later, the cabin door opened again, and Daniel entered, arms full of supplies. He froze at the sight of the stranger kneeling beside Lily. "Who the hell are you?" Daniel demanded, dropping the bags and reaching for his walking stick. "Detective Thomas Reeves," he answered calmly, showing his credentials. "Eleanor Mercer hired me to find her niece." "Eleanor?" Daniel repeated, tension easing slightly. "Not Arthur?" "Definitely not Arthur," Reeves confirmed. "Mrs. Mercer suspects her husband of harming Lily and possibly others. She's been gathering evidence against him for months." Daniel lowered his makeshift weapon. "The girl was buried alive when I found her. That dog dug her out." Reeves's expression hardened. "We need to talk. All of us. Lily has been documenting things for years, and I think she just showed me where we might find Maria Vasquez." As night fell, the three unlikely allies gathered around Daniel's table. Lily had created an exact map showing where Arthur had buried Maria 3 years earlier, not far from where he had attempted to dispose of his niece. "We need to proceed carefully," Reeves advised. "Arthur Mercer has powerful connections, police, judges, politicians. If we move without solid evidence, he'll escape justice." "What more evidence do you need than a murdered woman and a child he tried to kill?" Daniel demanded, the rage of 20 years of helplessness burning in his voice. "Forensic evidence that cannot be disputed," Reeves explained, "and we need to ensure Lily's safety above all else." While they formulated a plan, Eleanor Mercer faced her own confrontation. In Arthur's home office, she accessed his computer using passwords she had secretly obtained months earlier. The files she discovered confirmed her worst fears, not just financial fraud and bribery, but a pattern of silencing anyone who threatened his ambitions. Most disturbing was a folder labeled J. Morgan, containing surveillance photos of a young woman who had disappeared 20 years earlier. Eleanor downloaded everything onto a secure drive, her hands trembling with the weight of revelation. When Arthur entered unexpectedly, she maintained remarkable composure. "Working late?" he inquired, loosening his tie. "Just reviewing some campaign materials," she lied smoothly. "How was your meeting with the governor?" "Productive. He's fully committed to endorsing me next week." Arthur poured himself a bourbon. "Any word about Lily?" "Nothing yet," Eleanor replied, watching him carefully. "The police seem less concerned than I'd expect. They understand these situations. Children with special needs often wander off. She'll turn up." "Like Maria turned up?" Eleanor asked. Quietly. Arthur's glass paused midway to his lips. "What did you say?" "Maria Vasquez, our former housekeeper, the one carrying your child when she resigned." Arthur set down his glass with deliberate control. "You've been listening to too many staff rumors, Eleanor. Not rumors, Arthur. Evidence. She stood, maintaining distance between them. Lily saw everything. She recorded everything. Lily is a disabled child with an overactive imagination, he countered, his voice hardening. No one would believe her fantasies over my word. I found your records, Arthur. All of them, including what you did to Jennifer Morgan 20 years ago when she threatened to expose your first corruption scheme. Arthur's facade cracked. You've lost your mind. No, I've finally found clarity. And tomorrow, Detective Reeves will have everything I've collected. Eleanor moved toward the door. You're finished, Arthur. His expression transformed into something inhuman. You have no idea what you're doing, Eleanor. I'm ensuring justice for Lily, for Maria, for Jennifer, and for all the others you've destroyed. She paused at the threshold. And I'm ensuring you never become governor. In the forest cabin, plans solidified into action. At first light, Reeves would bring law enforcement he personally trusted to excavate the site Lily had identified. Daniel would remain at the cabin with Lily, protecting her until Maria's body was recovered and Arthur was taken into custody. What none of them anticipated was Arthur's desperate move. After Eleanor retired to her separate bedroom, he made a series of calls to associates who operated outside the law. By midnight, 3 men were approaching the forest from different directions, converging on the coordinates Arthur had provided, Daniel Morgan's cabin. Their instructions were explicit. Eliminate all witnesses, retrieve any evidence, and make it appear as a tragic accident. The cabin's remote location made it perfect for staging a deadly fire that would leave no survivors and few identifiable remains. As midnight passed, Max's heightened senses detected the approaching threat before any human could. The old service dog began pacing anxiously, soft growls rumbling in his chest. "What is it, boy?" Daniel whispered, instantly alert. Years in the wilderness had taught him to trust animal instincts above all else. Reeves, who had decided to remain, overnight, rather than risk traveling in the dark, checked his weapon. "Someone's coming," he confirmed. Daniel quickly doused all lights while Reeves positioned himself near a window. Lily, understanding the danger without explanation, gathered her most important drawings and hid them in Daniel's collection bag. "We need to move," Reeves whispered. "They'll surround the cabin before attacking." Daniel nodded grimly. "There's a root cellar behind the stove. It leads to a tunnel I dug years ago. Comes out near the creek, about half a mile east." "Smart." "Man," Reeves acknowledged. "You take Lily through the tunnel. I'll create a diversion to buy you time." "That's suicide," Daniel objected. "I'm not planning to die tonight," Reeves assured him. "Just giving them something to chase while you get Lily to safety. Meet me at the abandoned ranger station we passed on your map. If I'm not there by dawn, continue to Oakwood and find Sheriff Martinez. She's the only one in local law enforcement, not in Mercer's pocket." Daniel hesitated, torn between leaving a man behind and protecting Lily. "Go," Reeves insisted. "That girl is our only witness who can bring down Mercer's entire operation. Her safety is the priority." Recognition dawned in Daniel's eyes. "You know who I am, don't you? You know about Jennifer." Reeves nodded solemnly. "I've suspected for years that Mercer was responsible for her disappearance. That's why I left the FBI to work this region, waiting for a chance to bring him down." "Find her," Daniel said, his voice breaking. "If she's buried out there like Maria, I will," Reeves promised. "Now go." Daniel gathered essential supplies while Lily collected Max and her doll. The old botanist moved the heavy stove aside with surprising strength, revealing a trap door built into the floor. As Daniel led Lily and Max into the darkness of the tunnel, Reeves positioned himself strategically. Outside, Arthur's hired men were closing in, their flashlight beams cutting through the forest darkness. Reeves waited until they were within range, then fired 2 warning shots into the air. The sound echoed through the trees, momentarily freezing the attackers. Using their confusion, Reeves slipped out the back of the cabin and into the woods, deliberately leaving a trail for them to follow, away from the direction Daniel had taken with Lily. Underground, Daniel guided Lily through the narrow earthen passage, his botanist's memory mapping every twist and turn in absolute darkness. Max padded silently ahead, his canine senses navigating where human eyes failed. Lily clung to Daniel's hand with complete trust, her other arm wrapped around her precious doll, now stuffed with her most important drawings. "Almost there," Daniel whispered as they approached the tunnel's exit. "Stay very quiet when we emerge." The tunnel opened beneath the hollowed trunk of a massive fallen oak near a small creek. Daniel listened carefully before helping Lily out, then lifted Max through the opening. The forest was eerily silent except for the distant sound of shouting. Reeves's diversion was working. Daniel oriented himself using the stars visible through breaks in the canopy. The abandoned ranger station lay 3 miles northeast, requiring them to cross the creek and traverse difficult terrain. He lifted Lily onto his back, her arms around his neck, and began the arduous journey. "Hold tight," he murmured. "Max will warn us if anyone comes." Back at the Mercer estate, Eleanor had made her final preparations. After securing her evidence in multiple locations, she placed a call to Sheriff Martinez. "This is Eleanor Mercer," she said when the sheriff answered. "I need to report crimes committed by my husband, Arthur Mercer." "Mrs. Mercer, this is a serious accusation," Martinez replied cautiously. "I have evidence of financial fraud, bribery, of public officials, and involvement in at least 2 disappearances, one being our niece, Lily." Eleanor's voice remained steady. "I've also discovered information connecting him to the Jennifer Morgan case from 20 years ago." Sheriff Martinez's tone changed immediately. "Where are you now, Mrs. Mercer?" "At our home. Arthur left about an hour ago after receiving a phone call. He seemed agitated." "Stay where you are. Lock all doors and windows. I'm sending deputies to secure your location, and I'll be there personally within 30 minutes. "There's something else," Eleanor added. "Detective Thomas Reeves is working with me. He may have located Lily, but I haven't heard from him since this afternoon." "Reeves is a good man," Martinez acknowledged. "If he's involved, this is even more serious than I thought. Secure yourself immediately, Mrs. Mercer. Help is coming." Eleanor had just hung up when she heard a noise downstairs. Arthur had returned. Moving silently to her closet, she retrieved the small handgun she'd purchased months earlier, just after finding Maria's missing persons report that Arthur had hidden from her. In the forest, Reeves had led Arthur's men on a strategic chase, gradually circling back toward where Lily had indicated Maria was buried. If he could reach that location with the pursuers in tow, there was a chance they might inadvertently provide the evidence needed to connect Arthur directly to Maria's murder. The 3 hired men were professional trackers, but Reeves had years of FBI wilderness training. He stayed just visible enough to keep them following while conserving his ammunition and energy. The plan was working until he heard the unmistakable sound of a helicopter approaching. Arthur was escalating, using his considerable resources to coordinate a more sophisticated search. The aircraft's thermal imaging would quickly locate human heat signatures in the forest. Reeves needed to adapt his strategy. Changing direction. Abruptly, he headed toward an area of underground hot springs where geothermal activity would confuse thermal imaging. It would buy time for Daniel and Lily to reach safety. Daniel had made remarkable progress despite his age and the challenging terrain. Decades in the wilderness had given him extraordinary stamina and knowledge of moving efficiently through difficult environments. Lily remained secured to his back, her small body warming his as they pushed forward. Max suddenly halted, ears alert. The helicopter was audible now, its searchlight sweeping the forest canopy a mile south of their position. "We need cover," Daniel whispered, scanning their surroundings. A fallen tree created a natural hollow beside a rock formation. Daniel quickly positioned Lily inside and covered her with branches and leaves, a cruel echo of how Arthur had left her, but now done as an act of protection rather than harm. "Stay absolutely still," he instructed. "I'll lead them away and come back for you. Max will stay to protect you." Lily's eyes widened in fear at the thought of separation, but she tapped once on Daniel's arm, understanding the necessity. "Brave girl," Daniel whispered, squeezing her hand. "I promise I'll return." He emerged from cover and began moving noisily, away from Lily's position, deliberately creating a trail for pursuers to follow. The helicopter banked in his direction, spotlight fixing on his moving form. At the Mercer estate, Sheriff Martinez arrived with 4 deputies to find Eleanor waiting in the foyer, the house unnervingly quiet. "Where's your husband?" Martinez asked, signaling her deputies to secure the premises. "Gone again." He returned, briefly took something from his office safe and left. Eleanor handed Martinez a flash drive. "This contains everything: financial records, surveillance files, evidence of bribery. And this," she produced a leather-bound journal, "is Lily's record of what she observed, including Maria Vasquez's pregnancy and subsequent disappearance." Martinez examined the journal, her expression grim. "We'll need to find Maria's remains to make the strongest case. Do you have any idea where she might be buried?" According to Lily's drawing, somewhere in the northern section of Blackridge Forest, Detective Reeves believed he could pinpoint the location with Lily's help. A deputy approached urgently. "Sheriff, we just received a report of gunfire in Blackridge Forest, and the Forest Service detected an unauthorized helicopter in restricted airspace." Martinez's decision was immediate. "Mobilize our tactical unit and contact state police for air support. If Arthur Mercer is hunting people in those woods, we're going to shut him down tonight." The forest had become a battleground. The helicopter's searchlight illuminated Daniel as he ran between trees, drawing attention away from Lily's hiding place. A loudspeaker crackled to life. "Daniel Morgan, stop immediately. We know you have the girl." Daniel continued running, leading them further from Lily with each step. The helicopter descended lower, its downwash bending tree branches and creating a maelstrom of leaves. Suddenly, a spotlight from a different direction cut through the darkness. Law enforcement had arrived. Sheriff Martinez's voice boomed over a loudspeaker. "This is Sheriff Martinez. The forest is surrounded by law enforcement. All unauthorized personnel must surrender immediately." The competing helicopters created chaos in the night sky, searchlights crisscrossing the forest canopy. In the confusion, Daniel reversed direction, circling back toward Lily's hiding place. Meanwhile, Reeves had reached the location Lily had indicated on her map. Using a small tactical light, he began carefully examining the ground for signs of disturbed earth. 2 of Arthur's men had broken off from pursuing him and were now tracking Daniel, but the 3rd remained dangerously close. Hidden beneath branches and leaves, Lily remained perfectly still, Max's warm body pressed protectively against her. The loyal dog's ears constantly moved, tracking every sound in the surrounding forest. When footsteps approached their hiding place, Max tensed, but made no sound. One of Arthur's hired men paused mere feet from their concealment, scanning the area with night vision goggles. His radio crackled with Arthur's voice. "Have you found them yet? The police are closing in. We're running out of time." "Nothing yet," the man reported. "They've separated. The old man is heading east, but the girl could be anywhere. Find her and eliminate her," Arthur ordered coldly. "No witnesses, no evidence." Hearing this, Max made a split-second decision born from years of service dog training. He burst from the hiding place, barking furiously, then ran in the opposite direction from Lily. The startled mercenary immediately gave chase, believing the dog would lead him to the girl. At the suspected burial site, Reeves had uncovered disturbing evidence. The ground showed signs of previous excavation, partially masked by transplanted undergrowth. As he began to dig, the remaining mercenary emerged from the trees, weapon raised. "Step away," the man ordered. "Mr. Mercer wants this area left undisturbed." Reeves slowly raised his hands. "You realize you're participating in a murder cover-up? That carries the same penalty as the murder itself." "I'm just doing a job," the man replied flatly. "A job that will send you to prison for life," Reeves countered. "Law enforcement has surrounded the forest. Your employer is about to be arrested. You still have a choice." Uncertainty flickered across the man's face. Before he could decide, a shot rang out, and he collapsed to the ground. Arthur Mercer stepped from the shadows, holding a hunting rifle. "No one has choices anymore," Arthur stated coldly, training the weapon on Reeves. "Start digging. You wanted to find Maria so badly you can join her." "It's over, Arthur," Reeves said calmly. "Sheriff Martinez has your wife's evidence. The state police are here. Your political career is finished." "Nothing is finished until I say it is." Arthur's composure cracked. revealing the desperation beneath his controlled exterior. 20 years I've built toward the governorship. 20 years of careful planning, eliminating obstacles, cultivating the right connections. I won't let a disabled child and a washed-up detective destroy everything. Like you destroyed Jennifer Morgan when she discovered your first corrupt land deal, Reeves asked quietly. Daniel Morgan deserves to know what happened to his daughter. Arthur's laugh was hollow. Morgan should thank me. His precious Jennifer was going to expose corruption that would have implicated her own father. The university's botany department was receiving kickbacks for environmental impact studies. Daniel's name was on every falsified report. The revelation hit Reeves hard. Daniel had never known his connection to the corruption his daughter had uncovered, corruption that likely led to her murder. While Reeves kept Arthur talking, Daniel had successfully circled back to Lily's hiding place, only to find her gone and signs of Max leading someone away. Following their trail, he moved as silently as decades in the wilderness had taught him. He found Max first. The loyal dog had led the mercenary on a long chase before doubling back through a stream to mask his scent. When Daniel whistled softly, Max appeared from the underbrush, unhurt but anxious. "Where's Lily?" Daniel whispered. Max whined softly, then began moving through the forest with clear purpose. Daniel followed, trusting the dog's instincts. They traveled nearly half a mile before Max stopped, pointing toward a massive hollow tree. Inside, curled in a ball with her doll clutched tightly, was Lily. She had fled her original hiding place when the mercenary came too close, finding this secondary shelter on her own. "Clever girl," Daniel breathed, relief washing over him. "Come, we need to reach the ranger station." As he helped her out, the sound of police helicopters grew louder. Searchlights illuminated sections of the forest as law enforcement tightened their perimeter. Daniel lifted Lily onto his shoulders and began moving toward the coordinated lights, recognizing that safety now lay with the authorities rather than in continued hiding. At the suspected grave site, Arthur's paranoia was reaching dangerous levels. He forced Reeves to continue digging, the hole growing deeper with each shovelful of earth removed. "You're making a mistake, Arthur," Reeves said between labored breaths. "Even if you kill me, you can't kill everyone who knows the truth now." "Don't need to kill everyone," Arthur replied, rifle unwavering. "Just the key witnesses. Eleanor can be committed for mental instability. Grief over Lily's disappearance drove her to make wild accusations against her devoted husband. It's a tragedy the media will eat up." "And Daniel Morgan, the man who's protected your niece after you tried to murder her?" "A deranged hermit who kidnapped and killed a disabled child, perhaps the same man responsible for Maria's disappearance." "The narrative writes itself, Detective." Reeves's shovel struck something solid. Both men froze. Carefully clearing away more soil revealed a tarp-wrapped bundle that confirmed their worst suspicions. "At last, we meet again, Maria," Arthur said, with disturbing casualness. "I didn't expect company to join you quite so soon." He aimed the rifle at Reeves's head, finger tightening on the trigger, when a small stone struck his shoulder. Arthur whirled to find Lily standing at the edge of the clearing, another stone ready in her hand. Behind her, partially concealed by trees, Daniel watched in horror at her brave but dangerous intervention. "Lily!" Arthur's surprise quickly transformed to calculation. "There you are, my dear niece. I've been so worried about you." Lily's response was to throw the second stone, striking Arthur's chest with remarkable accuracy. Her eyes burned with accumulated knowledge of his crimes and unwavering courage in the face of her would-be murderer. Now, Arthur chided, adjusting his aim toward her. "Is that any way to treat your uncle who loves you so much?" "That's far enough, Mercer." Sheriff Martinez's voice rang out as she emerged from the trees, weapon drawn. "Drop the rifle!" Arthur's options disappeared as deputies converged from multiple directions, firearms trained on him. Still, he kept his rifle pointed at Lily. "One step closer and I'll finish what I started with her," he threatened. From his position in the grave, Reeves seized the momentary distraction to lunge forward, tackling Arthur's legs. The rifle discharged harmlessly into the air as both men fell. Deputies swarmed forward, securing Arthur while others helped Reeves from the excavation. "We've found Maria," Reeves told Martinez grimly, indicating the partially uncovered remains. "And we found something." "Else?" Martinez replied, nodding toward an approaching figure. Eleanor Mercer walked into the clearing, her face a mask of controlled fury as she regarded her husband in handcuffs. "You'll never see the outside of a prison, Arthur," she stated with cold certainty. Arthur's composed facade finally shattered. Completely. "You stupid woman, do you have any idea what you've done? The connections I have will crush you, all of you." "Your connections are being arrested across 3 counties tonight," Martinez informed him. "Your entire network is falling." Mercer. The governor himself authorized this operation after reviewing the evidence Eleanor provided. As deputies led Arthur away, Lily approached the grave site, her young face solemn with vindication for Maria. She knelt beside the excavation and placed wildflowers she had gathered on the journey. Daniel watched his extraordinary young charge with overwhelming emotion. In trying to save Lily, he had found purpose again, and perhaps justice for Jennifer as well. "Detective," Daniel said quietly to Reeves. "Arthur mentioned Jennifer. Did he confirm he implied involvement in her disappearance?" Reeves answered honestly. "And he said something else you should know. The corruption Jennifer discovered, it may have unintentionally involved your research at the university." Daniel absorbed this with visible pain. "All these years, I blamed everyone but myself." "You weren't responsible for what happened to her," Eleanor said, joining them. "Arthur manipulated countless people. He falsified documents, forged signatures, created elaborate cover-ups. Jennifer was a threat because she saw through it all, just like Lily." Lily approached, taking Daniel's weathered hand in her small one. She pointed to herself, then to him, then made the sign for stay. "She wants to stay with you," Eleanor translated with a sad smile. "As her legal guardian now, I need to consider what's best for her. She needs specialized care, education, therapists who understand her communication methods," Daniel protested, despite the ache in his heart at the thought of losing her. "She needs someone who sees her mind, not her disability," Eleanor countered. "Someone who risked everything to protect her. Someone she trusts completely." Before Daniel could respond, Martinez approached with news that would change everything. "We found additional remains," she said gravely, "about 200 yards north of here. Based on preliminary examination, they've been there approximately 20 years. Daniel's legs nearly gave out. "Jennifer? We'll need DNA confirmation, but the personal effects suggest it's her." "I'm deeply sorry, Mr. Morgan." The forest fell silent as Daniel absorbed the culmination of 20 years of uncertainty. Lily pressed against his side, offering comfort with her presence. Max sat vigilantly nearby, completing their unlikely family circle. "What happens now?" Daniel finally asked. "Justice," Reeves answered simply, "for Jennifer, for Maria, for Lily, and for you." 3 months later, the former Mercer estate had been transformed. The mansion that once housed corruption and cruelty now served as the headquarters for the Jennifer Morgan Foundation for Exceptional Children, established with Eleanor's fortune after Arthur's conviction for multiple counts of murder, attempted murder, financial crimes, and corruption. Daniel had relocated to a cottage on the property, bringing with him his knowledge of botanical healing and 2 decades of wilderness wisdom. Max enjoyed retirement on expansive grounds, never straying far from Lily's side. Lily herself had blossomed with proper support. Using advanced communication technology that interpreted her unique drawing patterns, she provided testimony that helped convict not only Arthur, but several co-conspirators. Her detailed records, preserved in her doll during their forest escape, proved invaluable to prosecutors. On a warm spring afternoon, Daniel sat with Lily in the memorial garden planted where Jennifer had finally been laid to rest with dignity. Eleanor joined them, carrying documents newly arrived from the court. "It's official," she announced, handing the papers to Daniel.